Dr. Gupta, what's going on, man?
I can't hear you.
You can't hear me?
Now I can.
There we go. There we go. What's going on?
Not too much. How are you doing?
Great, great. It's nice to meet you over here.
Yeah, you as well. Thanks for having me do this. I think this is super awesome. I'm super excited.
And thanks for coming on. I know we've been waiting on this quite a long time, but I just had to push things off after the boards.
Oh no, absolutely. How did everything go?
I mean, you know how it is. You don't know.
You're right. Yeah, you never know. Remind me again. This was oral part, or is this the written that you did?
Oral. This is the
Okay.
oral. That's
The
Tuesday.
big shebang.
The big shebang.
Is it nice to be done though? Doesn't it feel good?
It feels great. It really does feel great. It's a breath of fresh air. I gotta say. I gotta find out if I passed first. That's the
Sure.
only thing.
But it's almost like you can get back to life again, right? Because you almost have to put your life on hold while you're studying and like all these things that you want to do, the other goals you have. It's like this roadblock just needs to be overcome.
And it's a big roadblock because you just unfortunately it's like you can't I mean, you know this. I'm preaching everything but it's like you can't escape it. You can't like half-ass this exam. You can't half it this
Sure.
exam. You have to put things to the side. You have to sacrifice. You have to cut out exercise. You have to cut out some weekends and stuff. Staying late at I was staying late at the office until like 9:30, 10 o'clock, just staying at the desk and studying at the end of the day. And I mean that's depressing. But
You're going to do fine. And you know how I know that is because you did make those sacrifices. One of the guys in one of the courses I took, I mean, it was one of those courses where like everybody goes up and runs through it. And some of those people are like just like absolute groaners where you're like, holy cow, how do they not know that? And I'm sure people said that about me too. But, you know, the thing the guy said was that even those people that you just like the whole room groaned at, even those guys passed because they got this many things correct or they didn't kill anybody, things like that.
yeah,
And so, I think, I followed you a little bit, listened to what you've talked about, saw you studying. I mean, you did all the right things. You're going to be fine.
I hope so. Well, thank you. Thank you for saying that. How was your day? How was your day at work today?
No, day was good. Day was good. A busy day. I have had couple of slow February days, and so a busy day was good. My kids had some swimming to do, so we're back from that. We ate some dinner. Life is good. What about you? Yeah,
That's a great day. Yeah,
yeah,
same thing. Busy day, very busy day today. I work I want to do 5 days a week in one office, but I do one day a week for the organization I'm with at a further office. So today's the further day. I just got home like maybe 10 minutes ago.
yeah.
So yeah.
Still make it and everything. That's awesome.
You guys swim?
My kids do. I cannot swim for the life. I mean, I can make like one lap. In the state of Michigan, you have to like be able to swim to pass high school, or at least it used to be like that. So I like barely passed, but they're like on the swim team and stuff like that. They're 11 and 8, so they're not doing anything too crazy or anything like that. But it's like it's nice to see your kids do something better than you can do it. It's pretty amazing. Yeah,
That's actually a great point. Yeah, I bet that is exciting to see. A
yeah,
little, what do they call it? Living vicariously through them a little
yeah,
bit.
absolutely. So no, it's a lot of fun. It's source of pride. You never learn about these things about like being a parent or whatever until you actually get to do it, and it's like so many nice
Yeah.
things. It's wonderful.
Yeah. Yeah, man. So hey, we had talked about a bunch of topics here. I haven't written down. You were saying a bunch of things from online reviews to artificial intelligence, wherever you want to go. You also mentioned being an examiner at one point. You're an engineer by training, by
I
the
am.
way. Where did you go to school? Let's start right there.
So, born and raised Michigan, University of Michigan, Ann Arbor. I did engineering, biomedical engineering. Always knew I wanted to go into healthcare. My dad's an engineer. He worked for Ford. He was like, "Hey, if I'm paying for your school, this is what I want you to do this." So, honored that request. But biomedical engineering has a lot of overlap with the pre-doctoral sciences and stuff. So it was an easy decision. Yeah, and then from there I went to Detroit Mercy for dental school right after undergrad, and then I did my surgery training at Medical College of Wisconsin, Milwaukee.
Wisconsin Milwaukee. Got it.
Yeah,
Got it. And you're still on staff at, you said Detroit Mercy, and there was another one you mentioned.
yeah. So I have been lecturing for the University of Detroit Mercy School of Dentistry, and then I get some preceptors or interns, I should call them, from the University of Michigan Dental School who actually get to come to my office. They were kind enough to make it an offsite rotation, so do a little bit of teaching there. And then I still keep my hands like in the hospital. So I've got some hospital privileges with the St. John's residents, but they're now, I guess, Henry Ford, the programs
Mm.
was merged. So yeah, so still got took my hands in a little bit of education in a lot of different areas, an inch deep, mile wide.
Yeah. Man, you are all over the place. And then with the kids too, that's a head scratcher because I'm trying to look in the future, like a couple years out, kids
Yep.
and adding that in.
I mean, you sound like a well put together guy. You're gonna figure out all those things, and I don't think like I'm not stretching myself too thin. I was just listening to the Dan Holtzclaw talk that you had, and like that
Oh,
guy's
cool.
just busy, 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 and traveling and stuff like that. And I'm like nowhere near that. Like one of the things I think is cool, if you want to talk about, is that I have a non-par practice. I don't participate with insurances, so I don't have these busy days, these like burnout days that you can probably remember from residency or maybe that you're dealing with right now, that like you're just roller skating from room to room and just like it's just the grind. Like I've done it. I know what it's like. And so we made a choice not to be a practice like that. And so I'm not, I mean, I have like a chance to sit down with my patients. We get to talk. I get to know them. We get to find out what's important to them. So some people rehabbing people with dental implants, some people like the smile is everything. Like that's the most important thing. And for other people, it's like, I want to be able to eat popcorn again. And so like, I think those are like important discussions when you're trying to figure out what they want and what's best for them. So I don't have super crazy busy days. I mean, I do, but not every day. It is like a nice change of pace. We went out of network with insurances a little over a year ago, and it's just been magical. It's been pretty amazing.
Let's get right into that because that's one of the things I was reviewing too from when we
Yeah.
talked about this months ago. I want to go into how to get out of network from insurance companies. And where did you come from when you started out of residency? Where were you at? What insurances were you taking? What days were you working? Your hours, and then where you're at now. If we can
Sure.
kind of look at that trend, because that's something where I'm trying to look ahead and like, all right, where do I want to be? What do I want to be doing? And I got to tell you, I mean, I know a lot of people just starting out, whether general dentistry or any other specialty, just starting out, and you're really trying to work during the day. I'm sure you would agree too. The back pains, the aches and pains, and all of a sudden it
Yeah.
sounds like Rice Krispies, everything. That's something
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
didn't expect to this extent. Worse than residency. Yeah, but yeah,
Oh,
let's
yeah.
let's get into it.
No, I mean that's like probably a super important thing to talk about because I mean there's some stat out there, I've seen it and I can't quote it, but like out of dental school, something like within 2 or 3 years, if you're not taking care of yourself, like you are going to have or like set yourself up for a lifetime of back pain, neck pain, or whatever it is. And like taking care of yourself is not just like having the right posture, but like maybe going to get massages or doing yoga or Pilates or like exercise, like
Yeah.
something. You got like, the Rice Krispies is like the perfect example. And I've like been dealing with it a lot this week. So I'm like, really stretching things out and like, doing those things that are like, hey, you got to do this every day. Because if you don't, like, I mean, that could cut your career short. Like, I
Oh
would like
yeah.
to think I'm halfway through my career. And if I've got 15, 20 years left, it's like one bad neck surgery. And all of a sudden it's like, okay, now I'm on disability. Like, how are you going to
Yeah.
provide for yourself and your family and stuff like that?
That's
So,
such a good point. And even the day to day, it's like if you have back pains, it like your posture's off. The next
yeah.
surgery you're going into, you're like you have that tension in your back. Could lead to headaches. It just or like just seeing doing another difficult surgery that you're stuck on that root tip.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
it's like two headaches.
Yeah. I call exposing bonds backbreakers, right? Like those like upper like canines that you're literally like upside down looking at somebody's palate, and like there's like no really good way of positioning that patient. So it's just
Where's
yeah,
the light? Where's the light?
yeah, exactly, yeah. No, I know exactly what you're talking. That's like a good PSA for all your listeners. Like, take care of yourself. Like health is wealth. You can't get that back once it's gone. So like at the end of the day, I know you're also doing like a savings thing right now. Like yeah, save your money too, but like yeah, you gotta save your body. You gotta take care of it.
Yeah, and how have you noticed a difference, a change? Has it gotten better by coming? So, like, let's start. You said a little over a year ago, you were
Yep.
still taking insurances, and now you're out. What is? I
Yep.
want to know some of the lifestyle changes, appointment changes. You said get more time with each patient now, and
Yeah.
how about any improvement in the back issues too?
Yeah. So I'm not slammed patient to patient or like triple booked or anything like that anymore. So let's start with the simplest thing. So if you were to go out of network with insurances, we are a very insurance driven society, especially dental. And so you will see a drop in volume. I can give numbers. I don't know how valuable that is to you, but in 2024, we saw 2,500 patients. And in 2025, we saw 2,000. So that's a drop of 20%. So just physically, I am seeing 1 in 5 fewer patients than I was the year before. And so that's just, that is an improvement on, I guess, the toll on your body for dentistry. So there's
That's
that
not bad.
aspect. Yeah. No. So
Throwing out there.
absolutely. The other, I think, big thing that people, this is the one thing that I never realized was that, and you'll know this, like, do you ever have that patient that's like maybe got the perio and you're like, we got to take out these teeth and we need to put a couple of implants in. And they're like, yeah, I hear you. Let's do it. They trust you fully. They value the dentistry that you're offering. And they just said, yeah, I agree to that. And like, that's a magical feeling when you don't have to, oh, you're not going to fight me on that. You're not going to like be like, hey, can we like string this out for another year and a half? Because that's what causes the burnout, where you have to like fight or like convince somebody of something. And so one of the things, like when somebody was asking me about it and I was thinking about it, and I was like, I still have those, don't get me wrong. And you've got the anxious patient, there's still other stressors in life, but that's just like one stressor that's gone, right? It's just like
Yeah.
the vast majority of my patients they already know I don't take, that I'm not in network with insurance. And so they're coming to me because they value their teeth. And then they also, value the dentistry, right? So that's just like one, it's like one argument we don't have to have, or one discussion that we don't have to go into depth on. I'm happy to go into it, but it just happens so much fewer. And so that, I don't know, there's a huge burnout problem in dentistry, I think.
Oh
And
yeah.
it's because we're just fighting all the time. Like you gotta tell your patient to floss or take care of their teeth, and it's like, why do I have to fight you on this? Like, these are your teeth. Like, it's not my job to do that. And so
Right.
you don't have those discussions. So that's like, that would be the one that, like, that advantage that no one ever told me about, that I like really, really am grateful for. So yeah, there's fewer patients. I think that makes it easier for easier on the body. The patients, value the care more, which just makes the job more fulfilling. Yeah. What are any other specific questions you might have on like what? I
Well,
mean, I know
yeah.
you had other people on the podcast that are out of network. Yeah, that one doc in, I think it was Ohio, who's a
Yeah.
cosmetic surgeon. Dr. Koreshi was on. I mean, a lot of these
Mhm.
guys are at a high level, are doing a lot of this already. And I know you didn't specifically talk about that with them, but I think those guys are living their best lives. I think they're practicing the way they want to practice.
And that's the goal. That's the dream. I just wanted to touch on, yeah, we're talking about burnout. I'm seeing a lot of I think the three things are dentists today, especially insurance centered care today. It's not patient centered care anymore until it becomes fee for service again. But that's practice based. But I think the insurance driven care is the number one cause of burnout, because now we're still making, as dentists, quote unquote dentists, in this sphere, the same as dentists made in the 90s or earlier. But as we all know, rent, cost of living, taxes, everything, inflation, everything else has gone up. But I think the salaries have stayed the same. So that's one thing. Burnout, too. We just talked about the physical. People they don't understand how physical dentistry really is. So that's another form. Every day, you might be in pain if you're not taking care of your body. And even if you are taking care of your body, you still might be in pain. And then third, dude, the arguments, I did not expect that. I mean, you get it in residency, you get a little bit in dental school, but it's kind of like, it's not even like it. One patient is like, it's an argument, and you're like, yeah, man, this X-ray's from 3 years ago. You were 16 then. Like, everything's changed since then. We need a new X-ray, and I'm sorry, we are going to have to pay for an X-ray. We have to pay for things when we're
Yep.
taking care of our bodies, right? And then the next one is like an anxious patient. Hands down, so important. Like we put everything we can on the side to make an anxious patient more comfortable, right? But that is something that it's part of the job. We have to deal with it. But then you go to another room and they're also anxious, and then you go to this room and they're wondering like, wait, but I know the referral says 3 teeth, but I only have pain with one tooth. I
Yeah.
only want to do this one today. And you're like, I totally know, but you're immunocompromised. You have this
Yeah.
stage in cancer and stuff. It's like, I don't want to see you in the hospital in 3 months for this same exact tooth I'm talking to you about today. And they're like, I know, thanks, doc, but I'm just going to do this one tooth today. And it's like, oh my God.
Yeah. Can we talk about some of those specifics? Like, anxiety is not like a switch, right? That you can just be like, okay, stop being anxious and just like turn it off, right? It like involves hand holding and like, empathetic like conversations and stuff like that, and so that takes time. But like, I've heard you talk about a while ago about like you had this one insurance that would pay you like $60 for like a unit of anesthesia, right? Or like whatever the number is. And so, like, I think there's two huge problems that come with that. Is that one, it is incentivizing you to get in that room and out of that room as fast as possible. Like, where's the chance to have that empathetic conversation with that patient? Like, how are you going to decrease the anxiety if you're like, hey, I've got to get this done in 10 minutes, right? I got to get in and out
Yep.
because it's not worth my time to do this. And the only way it's worth my time is if I like, get them out of here. And the other part of it too is that, like if you have an insurance company that has it, and if you happen to know that, like thankfully I've always worked at places where I've never known what insurance people have had. But if you did know that, you might have that, like, you might be encouraged to be like, I'm going to do this wisdom teeth case and charge for 5 units of sedation, and like then this like that like opens you up to fraud because like they're playing games with you. So you're like, I'm going to fight back, and I'm not saying it's right, but I'm just saying that like it
This
encourages
sort
this
of
like unethical.
incentivizing. Yeah.
So I don't know. It's just like again, like, but again, that's like completely dictated by your insurance reimbursement, and it shouldn't be, right? It's like that person's in the chair; they're here for whatever they're here for. That's what the relationship should be. It shouldn't involve somebody telling you how much you're going to get paid for it. So I don't know. I think
Exactly.
it's nice to have a fee for service practice or a non-par practice because like for wisdom teeth I charge for 2 units of sedation, and I'm not saying that's right or wrong, and if I go over I'm not charging them for a third unit. It's just kind of what we've built in, and I get paid fairly for those 2 units of sedation, and so I'm not worried about if I went 5 minutes over, for an extra 15 minutes to charge them for that. But I do know, my colleagues who charge for like 6 units of sedation. They're like, from the time the IV went in to the time we got them, in the wheelchair or got the monitors off, that was, 85 minutes. And so we're going to charge for every single, minute of it. Again,
Mm.
not knocking them. That's still legal and not fraud. It's just, I don't want to practice that way. So I get to make that
Hey,
choice. Yeah.
I love that, and we shouldn't have to practice that way, nickel and diming things down to the minute. And it's like if you have to do that, I mean, technically it makes sense, right? Because that room was held up for that entire amount of time. But another way, it's like, wait, but we're focusing on the technique and the coronectomy and the implant placement, the angulation, avoiding the nerve, and making sure it's restoratively driven. There's so many more higher level important things to focus on
Yeah.
that we're getting like bottlenecked into this insurance driven squeeze. It's just,
Yeah.
yeah, I'm completely with you there.
Dentistry is already hard enough, right? Why do we have to worry about or think about all these other like external factors?
Yeah.
So what's your plan? Like, how would you see? I mean, there's other things that you've talked about insurance. Like, I'd love to like expand on. Like, you've said it multiple times. I hear so many people say insurance is a coupon. I don't know if it's
Yeah.
worthwhile to like talk to people like what that means. I know you've got a lot of dental students who are not practicing yet, or people who are or in residency or about to enter practice. Like, what does that mean to you that like dentistry, or sorry, that dental insurance is a coupon?
Yeah. To me personally, yeah,
Yeah.
we can go. So what it means to me is essentially like, for example, that reimbursement based on sedation, right? That reimbursement for sedation for 15 minutes, and for listeners, say dental students or residents, right? A lot of insurances base their payment, they reimburse you on the care that you've already delivered, right? So you're constantly fighting with them because they don't want to pay you for things you already did that they agreed that they paid on. Yes, that happens. And so they're paying us based off of 15-minute sedations, right? And what they're paying, say for example, that like $65 per 15 minutes from X number of insurance companies, they're basing that number based on a fee that was designed in the 1970s based on the cost versus time versus benefits versus materials versus medications, but they're all based on sub 2000 numbers generally.
Yeah.
But that's where that discount comes from. It's a coupon. It's no longer something based off of today's fees, the inflation, the taxes, the materials that are being used. General dentistry, you're using composites, you're using resins, you're using. So that's where the coupon comes from. That's what I take from it. Is
Yeah,
that
yeah,
where
no.
you?
And the only thing I'd like to add to that is that if you are in network, so let's say I'm going to make up some numbers here, but let's say your extraction costs $400, and that's what it would be if somebody just walked in and said, "Yeah, I've got money. I just need to get this tooth out. I don't have insurance," and so that like is your cash fee. I like hate that term, but that's what people call it, right? The cash fee is like $400, and let's say now you participate with insurance X, you have a contract with them to say, "Hey, we are not going to charge more than $315 or something like that." So like the coupon part of it is like you have this dental insurance. Your benefit is that you're not going to have to pay full fee for it, right? It's like, when you go and buy Tide detergent, you've got the $1 off coupon. This is a 85 or whatever. It's a $75 off coupon to get, the wisdom tooth out. And so that's a coupon to me too. The part that I think a lot of people don't realize, and I definitely didn't know when I got out of residency, was that not only that, it's not like they're going to pay the $315, right? They're going to pay some percentage of it or whatever they cover it at. So like it's confusing for us as practitioners. Like, how are patients supposed to know this? How is
Yeah.
the newly minted doctor out of dental school supposed to know that? So not only will that 315 be the ceiling that the insurance company is allowing you to get, you're only going to get paid like 80% of surgical services, or 50% of restorative services, or whatever, like the fine print says in the
Yeah.
insurance contract. And so it's like, it's confusing to tell a patient like, hey, by the way, yeah, this is, like, does my insurance cover implants? Is like, oh, they'll cover it at 70%, but they also won't cover like the full fee. And so there's like just so many nuances to have that conversation. I mean, we have full-time staff people whose job is to tell the patient this. And like, if they don't understand it or they've got further questions, like, people get angry. I think people in many practices, patients, get more angry about the financial side of things than they necessarily get about the care they receive. And so
Yeah.
my bad reviews aren't necessarily about like somebody got treated poorly. It's just that, hey, like, this is what I was expecting and this is what actually happened. And it was not the same thing based on the
Right.
insurance or whatever.
Right. And oh man, it's just talking about bad. Well, we'll get into that. We'll get into the bad reviews thing. But really quickly, the next thing that I get that I comments or ask questions about, as far as the insurance is this is perfect for what you just said. Is then someone like a dental student or resident will ask me, well, so if you're only getting $65 per 15 minutes or X amount for your fee, you saying like an extraction $400, but the insurance only paid like $85 for that. Then they ask, well, the patient pays the rest, right? And that's where the coupon comes in. And many times these insurance providers, in order to participate with them, they don't let you charge the patient for the rest.
Correct.
Okay. And they're telling, but here, so like I kind of understand that, right? But I don't understand why they aren't paying dentists, providers, us surgeons more for what it costs us to do that work. And then two, they're going and telling those patients, yeah, you're 100% covered for this. Yeah, you're 100% covered. $85 for a $400 or $500 tooth extraction, or $1,000 wisdom tooth fully impacted and curved around the nerve, and they're only paying $85 or $120 for that, telling the patient it's full coverage. It's disrespectful to the profession. It's disrespectful to people, that providers, and it's really misleading to patients. It's giving them misconceptions, and then they go and tell their kids, and other kids think that everything is covered for everything they do, and it's really making this downward spiral. It's ruining patient care. It's ruining healthcare.
Yeah. And then who loses the trust, right? The patient doesn't lose the trust in the insurance company. The patient loses trust in you.
Bingo.
Which at the end of the day is, I mean, what you have is your reputation and your relationship with that patient. And if there's no trust there, I mean, your business is kaput. It's just, it doesn't.
And it goes even worse.
Yeah.
It goes even worse. So I was making, this is back in October when I was making some posts about this, and I'm hearing through the grapevine, through colleagues, maybe or maybe not boss, saying that they're hearing from other providers that they don't want the oral surgeon that they're referring to, or within the practice, right, talking about the insurance reimbursements that they get for work. So it was like, I was saying, say, extraction costs our practice or our fee is this much, but we only get this much reimbursed by insurance, and other providers didn't. And I guess people in my practice as well have a big problem with me talking about that. But if we don't talk about that, patients and other providers don't understand. Dental students don't understand that, yeah, you might have a $500 extraction fee, but you're only getting $85 for that surgical extraction from these insurance companies. I think that is at the top of the top, that we need to prioritize talking about this as providers, because then patients aren't misled. They actually understand. I had the bad reviews thinking that you're just getting all this money from the insurance company when you're not. This is obviously, you can see I get pretty heated on the subject.
Yeah, I don't want to devolve this into like a bitch fest about insurance, because it gets really fast, No, but you're absolutely right, because so somebody taught me this once, like early on, one of my mentors, is that, I mean, unfortunately, it's just the nature of the beast. I think you do have to talk about financials, and whether that's your decision as a clinician to talk about that, hey, this is how much stuff costs, or to have somebody, on the back end. And I know practitioners who do it well both ways. They'll have, the treatment coordinator who does that conversation. But I do think for transparency's sake, I think patients should know that. So the idea, like, that somebody's telling you your referral, like, hey, I don't want you to discuss that. If I have a problem with that as a patient, I would have a problem with that if I was asking and I can't find that information out. I think one important point you bring up is that I think insurance is confusing. Dental insurance is confusing for a lot of people, because dental insurance is not like homeowners insurance, and it's not like your medical insurance, and so if you were to fall on the ice and break a leg, you'd go to the doctor's office or the hospital, and then you would have your deductible, and then everything else would be covered, right? It is insurance. It's like the just in case, like something happens, or same thing would happen if like, a big flood came through your, house or something like that. Like you would have to pay a certain amount, but then everything else is taken care of. Like the just in case is what insurance is. And dental insurance is not like that. It's like just the other way around. That's what I think like the coupon part is as well, because dental insurance will cover, up to a certain amount. And then after that, it's like shut off. And that's the coupon. It's like if your maximum is $1,500, then you can get up to $1,500. And then after that point, nothing else is covered. Everything else will be out of pocket. And so even if your implant's covered at 100%, if the implant costs $2,000, the $500 is still cash that you got to pay, and so that's like, unfortunately, that's like a hard thing to explain to people because dental insurance doesn't work the same way as the rest of the insurance, the rest of your life. So, I try to do a lot of education with that, whether it's like social media or, like telling our patients up front. We put like, letters out there for them. We've got like in our front office, in our front desk, we have a, TV that's kind of scrolling with some of these things. And like, I want you to have those conversations. Ask me about how your dental insurance works, or ask our front desk how it works. And so, like prompt some of those conversations. And so, at the end of the day, I really believe and value education. And I love that you do that a lot with the content that you put out, is that you are like teaching people who otherwise would be in the dark. If I were 15 years younger in dental school, I would just eat up the stuff you put out, because like no one else, I wouldn't have learned it unless I had to live it. And it would have been nice to know that ahead of time,
I try being transparent too about it. And just one other thing, the deductible, the 15 maximum, the dental maximum, just a quick thing for listeners while we're on this topic, that 1,500 maximum, annual maximum, is like how much money certain insurances give patients the amount of money to use in a year. And it doesn't roll over to the next year. By the way, that's what it is in 2025. It's commonly 1,500 to 2,000, 2026 now. Right. That's not the point. The point is in the 1970s, 1975, it was 1,000 to 1,500. It has not changed, guys. Everyone listening, it has not changed in 50 years. So that's how much ownership that insurance has over the entire gig here.
Yeah, that's it's so funny. You can like scream that from rooftops, and like insurance companies don't care. They're not going to do anything about that. But
it's fraud on their end. It's just a complete scam on their end. That's what it is. Anyway, I want us to move on. By the way, I didn't give you a proper intro, Dr. Gupta. So just really quickly, because I had on the screen, I wanted to shout you out. This should have been first, but at least Dr. Anish Gupta, and you are in New Hudson in Michigan, right? And your practice is called Lion Dental Implants and Oral Surgery. And did I pronounce everything correct?
Yeah, just perfect.
Sure. Sweet. Yeah, dude, I love your logo. How did you come up with that? How did you get this?
So we're in Lyon Township. It's Lyon, and so it's like South Lyon is like the neighboring city. New Hudson's kind of like a small, like I think 6,000 or 7,000 person like township. So the surrounding areas is Lyon Township, and so I was like, all the oral surgeons around me are like oral surgery associates and oral and facial, and so like I was like, let me do something a little bit different. And so I just like made it Lion Dental Implants and Oral Surgery. The logo, I'll shout out my cousin actually made that logo for us, and we get like so many compliments on it. And it's funny because she just did it as like a side gig. She's a graphic designer. She's very talented. And so I would have thrown her so much business, because I know at least like 25 other people who are like, yeah, make my logo too. And she's just like, I'm too busy, guys. Can't do it. So I think I got the last logo that she made, and I love it.
One more time, because I love this. This is fantastic. It really is.
I think I love it too much, because like I put it on. I have so much swag with it on, and my wife is like the tire cover on the back of my Bronco has it. I've got the hats. I've got the T-shirt. Like,
you got a Bronco.
Yeah, and so it's just like, I don't know, everybody thinks I overdo it except me, but I do. I love it too. So
you gotta push it out there. That's your brand. Yeah. That's your marketing. Yeah. Oh, I bet that looks great on a hat. You gotta send me a hat.
I'll send you a hat. Yeah. Somebody else asked me for me, so I gotta put an order out. I'll send you a hat. Don't worry.
I'm gonna wear it on one of the podcasts. I'll give you another shout on a TikTok live. Yeah.
Absolutely love it.
So yeah, and I also like that you went with, well, first of all, Lion Dental Implant, but I like that you went straight for implants.
Yeah. So you asked me a little bit about the journey. So I've got a pretty big journey between dental school and oral surgery. I had 3 years in between, 3 gap years essentially. So we'll talk about that. We've got more time. But out of residency, went into private practice, worked for a great doc downriver, so just south of Detroit. taught me a ton of things. He was more of an insurance-based practice. He was extremely busy. It's like a very blue-collar area town. For Detroit's like the big three, Motown, and so a lot of like the plants and the factories are down there. A lot of people, a lot of dental coverage with really good coverage as well. And so we'd see a lot of those patients, obviously, for taking out teeth, wisdom teeth, but we actually did a fair bit of implants as well. So learned a lot from that. When it was time to like hang my own shingle up, I went to a little bit north of where I live, a growing town. We did that. And so one of the things I noticed is that every office that did implants, so whether it was oral surgery or perio, they would be like periodontics associates, and then they like added on the dental implants. They almost like rebranded or re-signed their names. And so I was at, like this, Michigan Oral Surgery, and then it became Michigan Oral Surgery and dental implants. And it was just like funny because I was like noticing, and I was like, what if I just put it in the front, And I got a lot of flack from a lot of colleagues. They're like, you're like hiding the fact that you do oral surgery and stuff. And I was like, I know, but that's what people are Googling now, right? That's what people are looking for. They're like looking for,
Yeah.
I don't regret the decision at all. And I mean, I don't think people don't know that I'm an oral surgeon. So it's worked out, best of both worlds for me.
And now you told me you're doing 80% implants and 20% exodontia still?
Yeah. So that was a big switch too. So 2024, if I look at my numbers, about 70% of my revenue was taking out teeth and bone grafting and wisdom teeth. And now it's kind of flipped around. And so probably 20 to 30% is that now. And then again, that 70 to 80% is dental implants, which that's my niche. That's what I like doing. I enjoy that. I think we're good at it at our office. We take a ton of CE on it. And that's why I think also that we have the luxury, because it is a privilege, I think, to go out of network with insurances, like sink or swim. And the fact that people still come to see us for that kind of stuff, I think just shows that we take it seriously. Like, I don't know how many implants you did in, residency, but I definitely fixed more mandibles than I did implants. So, I'm not fixing that many mandibles anymore, but I did a fair number of implants in residency. I made sure I did a lot, in private practice. I made sure I took a lot of courses at this point now. So I'm like 15 years into my career now. And it's funny because like, I think I can do the surgery pretty well, but man, I got to learn a lot of pros. So for like the last 4 to 5 years, much of the stuff I'm taking now is going to be prosthetically based, or like, if we're talking like full arch and stuff like that, like occlusion. Like me and my wife's a dentist, and we're going to Kois in a couple of weeks too. And so it's like that's what I need to learn now. Like that's the stuff that's important, because I want my implants not just surgically to last, but like we should be able to find out the reasons why prosthetically they're not lasting. And I can coach my, my new grad dentists if they don't, they don't know that kind of stuff. And so I feel I gotta be an expert in everything in that sense.
Man, so you're going with her. She general dentist? What does she do?
Yep, where? She's a general dentist. She practices pretty close to us. Yeah, she does it part-time. She likes to balance out career with life at home too. So she's wanted to go forever. I mean, a lot of people know Kois. Kois is, like a world-class institute. The opportunity came up. I think it was like a 2-year wait list. And I think I got off the wait list first. And when they like called me, I was like, yeah, sign me up. Like I've already waited 2 years for this. And then I like finagled her to get in too. So somebody thankfully also came off the wait list. And so we had an extra spot in the same class. So we're both going in a couple of months. Yeah.
That's awesome. Did you guys sign up at the same time too, or was that?
Yeah, I think we did. I don't know what happened, but for some reason, like her wait list was pushed a little further back. But either way, everything all worked out. So we're pretty excited about it.
Yeah. Oh, that's great. And you're going to go together, and then you could both look at it from both of your perspectives. You can look at it from the surgical. That's going to be perfect.
Yeah, absolutely.
Oh, that's exciting. Do you do a lot of work with her? Because you said she's in a separate practice, obviously part-time.
We do a fair bit of stuff. She also has another oral surgeon next door who we're friends with as well, and they're great surgeons and stuff like that. So sometimes, the people in the community, will come to us. It kind of depends on other factors as well. Obviously cost is still a factor no matter where you go, whether they take insurance and we don't, proximity, all that other stuff too. But yeah, we got plenty of cases to do together, and I'm grateful that she gets to be my referral too.
Did you guys meet in dental school? Tell me about this. I'm curious.
Yeah. So it was one of those things. I don't know how many people in your dental school class either, got together or got married. We had a class of 82, I think. Something like, I think like 10 of us got married to each other. It's like over 10% of our class got married to each other. So it was like, I guess a very romantic class maybe. But no, that. And then, a lot of people like have that, like that relationship throughout. We didn't actually start dating until like the last few months. So,
really?
Yeah. So I think it probably worked out better that way. So, we got into graduation and stuff after that, and life after dental school. We got to do that together. So
Isn't that so funny how that
yeah.
works? Obviously, you told me that you did at least a year of GP, practicing GP. So were you practicing with her when you went that direction? And
No,
then you
no, no. Yeah, we were like pretty freshly dating, so we were in different cities. She was practicing closer to like the Ohio border, and I was just in a suburb of Detroit. And so no, we weren't practicing together. But yeah, but as a new grad, you get to live a lot of the same experiences,
yeah.
especially coming out. So we had to do that together. Yeah.
Was she supportive or against you going back for another 4 to 6 years
No,
of the surgery?
I don't think there's ever a time where I don't think she supported it. Yeah, I mean,
Okay. Okay.
that's why we got married. So that worked out. Yeah, so I did actually a couple of things between dental school. I did teach at the dental school for a year, for 2 semesters. Got really good
Mm.
mentorship in anatomy. This is all kind of like stepping stone into oral surgery. So worked in the anatomy lab. I worked in the sim lab. I did a GP year as well, and then I actually did a dental anesthesia year at IU. I don't know if they still have that program or not, but it's a 1 year big dental anesthesia program where you get to be like a CA1, like a clinical anesthesia
Mm.
one. So I got to do a lot of that stuff before I got into residency. So a couple of stepping stones that way. So
Yeah.
pretty eclectic. I don't think I know anybody else who's done other things like that before residency, and then obviously residency as well. So between dental school and residency graduation was 7 or 8 years for me. Yeah.
It's, that is a long route, too.
Yeah. 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 Totally worth it. I don't regret any of it for a moment. I guess I think it makes me more grateful for where I am today, because it is really amazing to be a dentist. It is really amazing to be an oral surgeon. It's like, I don't know, I get to thank my lucky stars that I made it this far. So it's nice.
Yeah. Yeah. And thriving, too.
Yeah.
What days do you work? How many hours? Like, what hours are you, what time in the morning to the afternoon? What days are you working?
Yeah, yeah. So this other thing, like again, I never wanted to be a practice owner, in the sense that I always thought I was gonna like partner with somebody. I never thought I was gonna
Mm.
like open up my own thing. But like that's like the one thing I never realized, is that when you own your own business, like you have control over all the things you want. And so that goes to the hours, because I start a lot of days at 6:30 a.m. So we get in there, do our like morning huddle, and our first patient's at 7. And then normally we would get out at 4. That's what I always did. But one day I was like, I want to get out earlier. And I had another, friend who did that. They like got rid of their lunch and got out an hour earlier. We made that announcement to everybody, and everybody's like, yeah, let's do that. So we get out at 3 p.m. every day. So I get to, if I want to, I can go pick up my kids from the bus stop. I definitely am going to make it to any soccer games or swim meets or anything like that. So anyways, I got 3 days a week that are 6:30 till 3 p.m. And then I got 2 late start Sundays, so we're like there at 9 a.m. And then we do an early leave on Friday, like an hour earlier. So Friday it's 6:30 to 2 p.m.
Got it. So was it like Monday, Wednesday, Friday, 6:30
Yeah, yeah.
starts?
Let me do that. Sorry, let me do that cleaner. Monday and Wednesday it is 9 to 3, and then
Mm.
Tuesday and Thursday it is 6:30 to 3, and then on Friday it is 6:30 to 2. Yeah.
Oh, that's a sweet setup. And I love that you start later on Mondays, because
Yep.
that allows you to get kind of, sometimes that's fresh Monday morning.
Yep.
You didn't get as much sleep as you would expected on the weekend. I totally get that. That's a great combo. Yeah.
It's taken. I mean, we started our practice 5 years ago, so it's taken 5 years to get to that point. But like, I don't think I would change it at this point for anything. Yeah, it's perfect for me, and that's an amazing thing. And thankfully, I've got a bunch of really amazing staff who also find it valuable, and so they're pretty happy with it. I'm sure they would love to start even later on Mondays if we could, but and I'm sure everybody still grumbles at a 6:30 start. I mean, even I still grumble at that. You can live like a resident as much as you want, but an early morning still an early morning. But yeah, I'm sure we'd love to start a little bit later, but it works for us, for our sedations, people, and who knows, maybe we will switch it again later on as things change. So yeah.
And how did you get to this point? So where did you start out? Like, what were your hours? When I say, because you were in a group to start, but now it's your practice
Yep.
individually, right?
Yep.
How did you, over the years? You said 15 years. Obviously, you said it took 5 years to get here in your practice. What
Yep.
about the other 10? Where did you start? Where did you kind of, was it a group?
Yeah,
Was it
well, a
do
lot
it
of that
solo?
was residency and other stuff, but like I was there for probably 4 years at the other practice, and it was 4 days a week, which was nice. I think I can't remember if I had Tuesdays or Thursdays off, but it was a pretty consistent schedule. It was like a 7 to 5 practice. So
Mm.
he was open 7 to 5, 5 days a week. I was there 4 days. The owner was there 4 days. So we overlapped 3 days of the week.
Mm. I see. I see. So then you were there
About
4 days.
yeah.
He didn't give you partnership offer, or what was? If I could just get some,
Yeah. So I think that happens quite commonly. Nothing against it. I mean, it was his baby, and it may have turned into that down the road. But no, I think we just went our separate ways. There were certain things that his goals, were going towards, and he would have liked if I had stayed as a long term associate. I'm sure. At least we had
Mm.
conversations about that, and I think I was ready to have that partnership conversation before he was ready to, and so I was kind of looking out there, and nothing popped up that I wanted. So it might be a great practice with a great group of people, but it was like too far away from where I lived. And there might be another place that, had the job you wanted, but they weren't busy enough, or they,
Yeah.
were more focused on, third party payers or whatever it was. And so at the end of it all, I was like, man, I've been looking for a while, and I got a realtor. And he was like, hey, there's this great place here. I didn't believe him. I went and looked all over Michigan, and then came right back to this first spot that he told me to go to, and the rest is history. So
And so those 4 years, you were just saving, saving, saving. What were some of the things that you didn't
yeah,
expect that you had to do? Like right now, I'm renting my dad's car, to make sure that I can save up for the wedding and stuff next year.
yeah,
If there's anything you remember from the top of your head.
yeah. So okay, so definitely saving. I'll shout out a couple of books because you're like in that saving mode right now. I think I heard you say something about that, and so a couple of books that I think everybody should read would be The Millionaire Next Door. I think it's like a
Mm.
classic, a book about like how people earn wealth, and so like the big lesson for me is that there are plenty of people who are like high earners or physicians or business people or lawyers, but they never earn wealth. Like they are just like living paycheck to paycheck almost. And a lot of that happens because they're just trying to keep up with the Joneses, right? They're like buying the brand new car, they've got the watch, they've got the big house, they've got the third car, and whatever it is. And there's nothing against doing that stuff. I'm never going to knock that, the fancy watch or like the designer clothes. It's just that you have to pick what's important to you. You have to pick what's important to you. So the other book that really teaches that is, I think it's called "I'll Teach You to Be Rich." It's Ramit Sethi. He's like a YouTuber as well, and I think he's got a Netflix show. And so like his thing is, like he's like, I think in that picture that you've got up there, he's got an eight hundred
Yeah.
dollar cashmere sweater on, right? Like, holy cow, you have an $800 sweater on, and he's like, yeah, I'll buy this $800 sweater because it makes me feel good. But he doesn't, he doesn't have a car, and doesn't have a car payment because where he lives, he knows he doesn't need that. So he's like basically picking and choosing. Like, I think the one that he always talks about is like, you can have your, $8 latte every morning if that's like really important to you,
Mm.
but don't do it just because, like the goal is not that you can't spend money. It's just spend money on the right thing. So that means
Mm.
renting your dad's car or like living in your childhood home or whatever that is, that's fine. Do that if that's what's going to get you to your goals, or get you the things that you ultimately want, which is maybe the nice watch, down the road, or having like a comfortable retirement. So, I think that's really important because it goes right back into the values discussion of like, what kind of practice do you want to work at? Right. And so if I value conversations with my patients, if I value patients that, want to value their teeth and stuff like that, then that's the practice I'm going to build. And I get it. I'm not for everybody. And so for the person that my practice is too expensive, or it's like imperative for them that patient to meet their financial goals by getting their wisdom teeth out at somebody who is in network, like more power to you. I'm going to have complete empathy for you, but you're going to be going to another practice, down the
Yeah.
street. And it's fine. Again, nothing against it. Nothing against the person with the fancy watch. Nothing against any of that stuff. Just pick the things that are important for you. Just don't do it for somebody else, I guess, is the
Right.
takeaway. But anyways, back to your question about like what I did. So we did do a lot of saving. Thankfully, I think my wife still likes nice clothes and nice dinners and stuff like that. So we still are able to do that. Thankfully, we live in Michigan and not Los Angeles, and so like the cost of living is cheaper. We got a lot of help with our parents for childcare early on, so we didn't like need the nanny or daycare as much. We eventually got them into daycare, and so there's like that. Our kids are in public school. Thankfully, we picked a city to live in that has, and there's a lot of cities in Michigan that have excellent, public educations, and so we're not paying for private school, at least not now. That might change, but yeah. So those are the kinds of things we did to kind of save money. I don't know if you've got a financial advisor or somebody that you really trust. Those books are helpful, but sometimes people are also helpful too. So it was like really important that you like always chunk away the maximum for like retirement. Like they talk about like bucket one, bucket two, and bucket three.
Mm.
Like maximize your 401ks or your Roths and things like that. And then Another thing that like Ramit Sethi talks about is like automate it. Like we live in a world where like you can have a chunk of your money go into your investment account without you ever seeing it, and that's like
Mm.
psychologically helpful because then you can't go and accidentally be like, holy cow, where did this like paycheck come from? And I'm going to go, buy a whole new, set of furniture right now. And so I think that's
Yeah.
pretty helpful for that kind of stuff. I definitely did save up a good chunk for like having a practice and stuff like that, but it's like never enough. So you like still need to do the bank loans and stuff like
Mm.
that. Hopefully, make smart decisions when it comes to that stuff. But like I'm guilty as anybody else is of like splurging on whatever and getting the nicer fixtures in my office instead of settling for like the most basic, lights overhead and stuff like that. So again, you choose what's important to you. What do you think you are? So I know you're saying you're saving up for like a wedding. Are you saving up to partner with your practice? Are you saving up maybe to start your own practice? Anything like that you're allowed to talk about or anything like that?
Oh, and yeah, thanks for asking. Number one right now is just eyes on the wedding next year. That's next January, and so my fiance and I we're saving up for that. And
Awesome.
I'm trying to do like I'm kind of doing almost like an automated piece of every paycheck. Like, put it to the side,
Yeah.
put it to the side until you hit that number where it's like, all right, now we're X amount over what we were told the wedding venue, the number of people would be. Just that. That's number one. Number two is I really like. Well, now I gotta add. Just started mortgage payments as of January, so now that's like 5,300 a month mortgage payments. So that's coming out of the paycheck too now. But yeah, I would really like my fiance once she moves in. She's not in the house yet. Once my dad moves out because he's moving into a condo, and then she moves in, then we're gonna have to get cars. So that'll probably be the thing after that. But other than that, we also want to. And then and saving up. Yeah, I mean, my dream would be a partnership. That's but obviously you have to be offered partnership. You
Yeah.
can't
So,
it's good. So it'll be saving for that, or whatever opportunity presents itself for the and I think that's fair, right? Because you want to work towards that goal, and I mean that's been the goal for the bit since the beginning. I'm not interested in being in any type of DSO situation. It's really just partnership in a private organization. So that's yeah. Of course, there will be savings for that as well. That'll probably be like one of those balanced budget means where it's like this will have to go to the car. This will be
yeah.
mortgage payment, car, saving up for that kind of situation. Yeah, but right, coming from what you were just saying, like whatever kind of things I guess that interests you, you were
Yeah.
saying versus watch, maybe the car, maybe the house, maybe it's for the practice. What about you? What are those things are you a watch guy, car guy?
No, I'm not actually. So like I got this Bronco a year ago, and it's funny because like my dad's worked for Ford forever, and I've never been like a car person, but like we did splurge on this Bronco, and like and I live about 25 minutes from my practice, and there's like a short way, which is like a straight shot, and it's like through some horse farms and like dirt roads and stuff like that. And I used to have an Explorer, which is I think still a nice car, and like I would get like the nails in my tire, and I like had twice where like I don't know if it was rocks or sticks like popped up and hit the undercarriage and like did some damage. And so I was like, man, I got to
Oh,
get a car that's like high off the ground. And like I was looking between like Jeeps and Broncos, and like yeah, I never realized how much fun I would have driving to work every day because it's like when it like rains and stuff, you've got all these like dips and things, and it's just my car is muddy nonstop. It drives my wife
awesome.
nuts. The floor in our garage is like perpetually covered in dirt. But it's like, yeah, I guess if I had to pick something, like, yeah, I guess that, like, I don't know if I've got any other like major splurges that I can think about.
With the Bronco, what about how is it? Because you got snow up there this winter. I'm
Oh
sure you
yeah,
guys got plenty of
absolutely, yeah.
snow. I bet you're just blowing through that snow, huh?
Yeah, I mean, so it's nice because it's got all like the settings for like off road and like the 4x4 and 4H4. I mean, it's fun to like play around with those things. Yeah, I mean, it's dangerous because if you think it's like safe, you're gonna like do something stupid. So I still like try to play it safe and take extra time with the snow because we've had like snow on the ground here for like 6 weeks now, and it's kind of getting. It's like started to finally melt a little bit today. I don't know what it's been like for you in Long Island,
Same
right?
thing.
But yeah,
Constant
like,
snow. These snowstorms this year. I gotta be honest. I kind of like the snow,
okay,
and I don't mind shoveling it. It's kind of nice to just have some peace and quiet. And it's like you can't call me right now because I'm shoveling the driveway. And it's like, oh, you're out shoveling the driveway.
yeah,
It's like a little peace and quiet for a moment,
yeah. It's a little moment of zen for you. That's awesome.
It was well because it was 2-3 weeks ago when we had that big snowstorm over. I'm sure you had the same snowstorm, just geared off a different direction. But I was studying through it, and so finally that peace and quiet was like, let's put the books away, let's go
Yeah,
shovel the driveway, and that was nice. That was really nice.
absolutely.
Simple things, you know.
What would be your splurge things? What would be the things that are important to you that you'd be like, yeah, I'll put some money into this.
So I mean, there's always like I'm a big watch fan, but I think number one is going to be kids. I really just want to have kids more than anything else, and I'm hearing a lot of things like you hear in the news and stuff. The the fertility rates going down, the number of people having kids, the cost of living and stuff. Everything's been difficult. So, you know, as much as I love watches, or I do want to get the Cybertruck, not for a cool or look good or anything. I actually believe in electric vehicles, and it's a safe one, you know, because it's bulletproof. It's got a bulletproof exoskeleton in. But number one, I just want to have kids. I came to this realization in residency. I was like, what are we doing all this for?
Yeah,
What are we pulling our hair out? And like, I had like the stomach acid issue that's gotten a lot better over the last couple months, but through residency, I was just like, you know, those overnight shifts every couple of days, and I'm like doing consults at 3 a.m, coughing up ass. It just,
yeah.
what are we going through all this for? And I was like, you know, I'm an only child. I think the biggest goal for me now is just like, I want to have a couple kids running around the house causing problems.
Yeah. No, that's
That's it.
it's a great goal. I think it's nice that you're self-aware and talking to yourself about those things because you're right. I mean, I think a lot of people don't know what it is that they want, and so I don't know. There's like a book I like too, like it's called Design Your Life, and it's like these two, I think the two professors at Stanford, and it's like there's like they have a sold out class or the class is always full, and it's just like you just have to like sit down and like think and write down what it is that's important to you, and I just think it's like unless you do it, it's not something you ever like really think about. So
Right.
design your life, and that applies to everything. Design your practice, design the philosophy of what you want to do, design how you want to be a parent. If you do any of those things, then like it just makes it that much easier to achieve your goals if you've got them written down and crystal clear, I guess. So
It's such a great point. Such a great point. You need to have the self awareness to say that too. I think that's a great point for listeners to think. Try and answer that question as you can right now. And the fact of the matter is it's probably going to change over
yeah,
time, which people don't expect. You know, you think like, no, 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 this is what I want to obtain. This is the ultimate goal. This is the ultimate. But then a couple months, couple years, that changes, and then you get closer to what reality is. And I think that's really important because actually, I'm sure you know Tony Robbins. He talks about how some of the most successful people also have the most anxiety and stress and responsibility. And until you recognize what that one goal is, you're never going to recognize where you came from or where you're going. So that ultimate like life satisfaction. I think it's a good way we can conclude
yeah,
the podcast today. It's so important though. Self awareness for all the listeners today is I think it's number one. At least Gary Vaynerchuk does too. But
yeah.
yeah, I think it's a good one. But Doc, we didn't get into AI. We didn't get. There's a number of things that we're lining up a nice lineup for part two.
Yeah, fair enough. Love it. Yeah, would love to come back. Yeah, I think you're doing a great job with everything that you're putting out there. I think it's very engaging. I enjoy a lot of the conversations you have with people. One thing I'd love to chat with you about because you get a bunch of oral surgeons on here, and it was a doctor, the blood tooth guy, Dr. Jason, and he brought up this is how I numb up people for third molars, and he's like, you don't want to know about that, and you're like, no, I want to know about it. Tell me how you numb up people for third molars. And I was like thinking to myself, man, yeah, I'd also really like to know how you numb up people for third molars. I think it should be like a thing you do with like all your oral surgeons because like I think all of us probably do it probably similarly, but probably a little bit different, or just like the dogma of it, right? If you do 300 sets of thirds a year, you're probably not like switching things up in the middle. Like, it's June, I'm going to start doing, the right side first, so I'm just curious, how do you numb up for a case of thirds?
Yeah, let's do it. No, and that's a great point because so many people commented on that.
Yeah.
So many people
really?
commented on that. Yeah. These little pieces are fun because it's nice to know what the majority of the audience actually thinks about. it. So the way I've been numbing up thirds are mostly lidocaine, but I also split a septo at the end. So I start with 1.5 to 2 blocks per wisdom tooth on the lower. So say 1.5. 1.5, and then half for the long buckle. So 1.5 for the IAN block, half for a long buckle. Then I go full carpule using probably about 75% on the buckle and then 25% on the palatal.
Okay.
And then I go do the same thing for the other side. 1.5 for the now left, doing the lower left, 1.5 carpules for the left IAN block, half is up for a long buccal nerve block, and then I split 75% on the buccal for number 16, and then on the palate the other 25% or half of the carpal for that. And then I take a septo and I split half for local filtrations for the lowers, because sometimes like you get that
Oh yeah,
weird
yeah.
innervation going down there, the lingual nerve, or you get the
So did I count that
So
right?
that's what I think.
6
Let me hear
carpal
your sequence.
lido. Was it
Mhm.
6? Okay, and then one you split a half carpal of septo.
That's it.
Okay,
That's correct.
and then you do it. Do you do it 32, 1, 17, 16? Is that what you do?
Bingo. Yep.
Okay.
Yep.
Okay, that's cool. So I do the same order you do for the teeth. I don't do you do the 1.5 Lido. I do a block with Lido, a block with Marcaine for my IANs.
That's a good one.
And then I do the same thing you do for the tops for a carpule of Lido. I'm doing Exparel now, so like the liposomal bupivacaine for everybody now. I just again, it's one of the things I can offer at no charge to patients now because I'm getting paid fairly. Is so I only do long buckles with Marcaine, and then at the end of the case, I'll end it with Exparel on both sides. I don't know how you feel about it. I don't think it's a perfect drug. I think it's better than nothing, but I do think it offers some value. We do get a lot more phone calls on like day 4, day 5, where people are like, "Hey, my pain actually increased a little bit," and my front desk is like, "Did it increase a lot?" They're like, "No, just a little, but you told me to call you if something happened." So I do feel like it like wears off at that point, and so we just get
4 days.
Yeah, man, it's really nice. Yeah, if you haven't used it, definitely try it out. I think it's got some value in practice.
Yeah, man, we have it in our fridge. I can't get a patient to. Well, it's
There's no question about it. It is expensive. Yeah,
it's expensive, but yeah, I've been wanting to use it. We've had it there for like 4 or 5 months, and it's just very expensive. And yeah, that's the non participation. One day that'll be the goal.
Yeah.
But so yeah, let's we'll definitely do a part 2 in the future, hopefully in the near future. I feel like let's line up, because what I like to do here is, and this is perfect. This is how we'll end it. What I'm going to do is I'll post this, okay, and then we'll summarize. I'll put a note in my calendar for our part 2, X number of months out, and then we'll start to note, like, if you can with me, we note the comments and what comes in, what questions we get, people that have like in the DM or something, and then 2, a week out or 2 weeks out, however we want to do it, a week out before the next podcast for part 2, we'll say, for the next podcast, what topics do you want us to go into? And then we'll get the submission there. I'll post that once or twice. And this is something, now that the boards are done, I'm really going to hone into this, because this is fun. I love doing this. And now I just learned your method. You're using Marcaine, you're using Exparel. These are things that I haven't used them, but I will. And now I'm going to get an idea of how to use it, how you've been doing it. Because you've been using that for years, I bet, right?
Yeah, we've been using it for, almost 4 years. It's funny because I have the same thing. I have a group of people, and I think I would encourage everybody to do that with, like, they have their like brain trust or whoever, like their colleagues, their co-residents, and like, because this is a tough job. When you have a question about something, you can't go and ask your professors anymore, right? They're not necessarily there and available, but like that's what your friends are for. Like that's what your team is for. And so it's really awesome to have like a team like that. And I think you've curated like a really good group of people that you talk to and ask questions to. And so I would encourage everybody to like have like their 3 or 4 friends that they're graduated dental school with, to like, hey, let's bounce off cases or questions, or how do you do this? Because man, it just takes so much stress out when other people are dealing with the same stuff, or even better, if they found a solution to something that you can like totally use.
Yeah, and I'm glad that you're on the team now too. This is going to be fun. Yeah, man. So yeah, we'll talk soon. I gotta hop right now though, but also, what time zone are you in? Just so I could get in my head for the future.
Yeah, Eastern.
Okay, that's good to know. So, all right, man. Hey, we'll chat soon. Thanks for coming on tonight.
Yeah, thank you again for having me. This is awesome.
Yeah, man. We'll talk soon. All right.